Students, in all this process, the water plays a very important role. The work of water, therefore, begins right from the start, that is, its originating point in the mountains.
The swift flow of the river transforms into water with high pressure as it falls down across the slopes. This helps in cutting the mountains vertically, which results in formation of deep valleys that are narrow at the bottom and wide at the top. Such valleys are called V-shaped valleys. The water in this stage has so much force that it can move very heavy and hard rocks.
But students, what do you think happens when the rocks are very hard?
The rivers cut narrow valley when the rocks are very hard. With the sides being very steep, gorges are formed. The gorges have an almost equal width both at the top and the bottom. The Bison Gorge on the river Godavari in Andhra Pradesh and the Indus Gorge in Kashmir are some of the examples of the gorges.
The next form of erosion is the canyon.
The canyons have steep side slopes and may be as deep as gorges. The canyons, unlike the gorges, are wider at the top than at the bottom. The Grand Canyon on the river Colorado in USA is the biggest canyon in the world. With a length of 466 kilometers, the canyon is 1.6 kilometers deep and has a width of 188 meters to 29 kilometers.
One can see a number of waterfalls in the mountain areas with prevalent and sharp changes of slope.
The force of the waterfalls dig out the bottom of the rock to form the plunge pools.
Once the river enters the plain, the course changes. The flow of the river slows down. This implies that it cannot carry the heavy particles and hence deposits them on the banks. When the river is in flood, the force of it increases and it cuts the soil. When the force decreases, it deposits silt.
During each flood, the rivers deposit a layer of sediment which results in the formation of a fertile flood plain gradually. The Ganga plains, the Krishna Godavari plains are a result of such depositions.
But when there is an inflow of flood water, the riverbeds become too high due to the deposits. The rivers then change their course again and cut a new path. As a result, one can see constant new courses cut by the rivers.
Meanders or gentle turns like a snake are made by the rivers in the floodplains. The deposition along the sides of the meanders result in the ends of the loop coming closer. The meander loop cuts off the river gradually and results in the formation of a lake which is called Oxbow Lake.
The next destination for the river in its journey is the sea.
Once the rivers reach the sea, the fine material that has not been deposited gets dropped at the mouth of the sea, which forms a delta. The word delta originates from the Greek alphabet delta.
Students, all of us know that there is heavy snowfall in the cold areas like the Himalayas, Alps and other places. The snow eventually gets accumulated and becomes ice.
As the ice begins to accumulate, it moves down slowly and reaches warmer regions. This slow moving of mass of ice is called a glacier. The movement of the glacier is very slow when compared with water. Once the ice reaches the warmer regions, it begins to melt, thus giving rise to a small river. The force of gravity helps in the movement of the glaciers. This is exactly how the Ganga originated from the Gangotri Glacier in the Himalayas.
The movement of the glaciers is so slow that it hardly moves a few centimeters in a day. The glaciers erode through a process called plucking. In the process of plucking, the pieces of rocks are lifted and transported.
The pieces of rock and the ice move together on the rock surface that they flow.
Students, just like how a sandpaper removes the small particles of wood, the glacier also removes and erodes the bedrock.
The glaciers therefore create U-shaped valleys as a result of the plucking and abrasion.
The glacier melts gradually and becomes water. Also, at this point, it does not have the force to carry the large particles forward and hence leaves them. These left out large rocks become heavy and rugged boulders. The smaller particles and pebbles remain on the bed of the glacier.
The debris, which consists of the pebbles, sand, cobbles, etc., known as till, is obtained by the glaciers from the slopes of the mountains, valleys, floors, etc.
The till that cannot be carried further is deposited at the various parts of the glacier.
The deposition of the till that cannot be carried forward at various parts of the glacier is called moraines.